We wanted to bring a show to this town that is more than just going to like a bar and just standing there and watching a band play.
Hey, this is Natalie with Austin Indy, and I am interviewing Grandmaster today.
There's like two parts to Grandmaster. I feel like there's the medieval aspect.
There's four parts. No, go. You go first.
There's four parts apparently to Grandmaster, but the two that I'm thinking of is the medieval aspect and the futuristic aspect.
Oh.
So we have like a lot of
That's true.
regalia, like fanfare, Trump, like stuff that would play when you're in the king's court or something. We want to sound like a glorious band. But then we have this like synth rock, like Earth, Wind, and Fire, kind of funkadelic like vibe that we're going for. So it's a mix between the two.
Yeah, I was gonna say. Yeah, my addition to that is that you can really see it in chunks in the record. So the four categories of our sound, right? So the first category I would say is the fanfare, classical influence, right? That we have from like studying theory for years, and we try and really like take classical and jazz music into our influence. The next component is dancing funk music, right? We want to have like a good, every record needs to have moments where you can just boogie. And then the third component I would say is our sort of like magical sorcery kind of sound that's a bit more like ritualistic. And then the fourth element is the video game, Nintendo, Japanese influence. That's a very big part of our sound. Yeah.
How did Grandmaster come to y'all?
There was a scammer that reached out to me in November of 2022, and he was calling himself the Grandmaster. It was really funny, and we were messing with him for like many days, and then we were just kind of like, we don't want this to end, and we turned him into a fictional character.
Did you like rub like a genie in a bottle kind of thing, and he just kind of appeared?
Started with me, Blaise, and Connor, and then Jaxson and Kenneth, and Nick, and then Bryce and Greer. And there's two other zealots that aren't here right now that we love dearly, Sydney and John. And Quinn, 3. The Grandmaster has been on what we call the 1,000-year journey for the last 1,000 years. And then he decided he would come here towards the end of this quest that he's on. Well, it's not really the end, but he's definitely getting wary. Usually he's quick to leave a place and go to the next place, but he decided that he likes us enough because we're good enough at using our pillars. So he lets us stick around with him and go with him on his 1,000-year journey that we're dying to go on with him.
So zealotry stems from the Grandmasters following. Like that's just what any follower of Grandmaster is a zealot, and that goes down in the history books of the Grandmaster.
And who designed the costumes? I heard someone's mom designed the costumes.
My mother is heavily involved. It started with me having an idea that was like a black garment, a red hat, and a black bar, right? And then my mother went onto Amazon and she's like, what about this? What about these? And I was like, ooh, this is a good little combination. It actually started with the red hat. My mom had one of the red velvet bucket hats. She didn't want it. And I was like, this is actually really cool looking. And then I ordered like a bunch of them. And then Blaise, very genius addition to the zealotry, was the white gloves that take us from being a bit too occult kind of focused. The white gloves make us almost like a Mickey Mouse kind of like Super Mario kind of character, that like it provides all the innocence that the costume was missing. So I feel like that was a really, really important addition to the look. And then the other part of it is the design of the Grandmaster himself. And that was also me and Blaise, where I designed the black robe and the red eyes, and Blaise added the ray crown and the white gloves to him as well. And so it was a very collaborative thing between Blaise and I on the design. And then the G was designed by Connor, the logo, the emblem.
Yo.
And Connor, you created this staff.
Yes.
And I have a question for you. Where do you find the time to like come up with all the ideas, doing all the editing, like creating the digital realm, and then like being the backbeat of Grandmaster? Where does that all come from? And
Yeah.
how do you have so much energy to do that? I think everybody's kind of wondering.
For sure. the Grandmaster granted me a special place in the negative space where I can go to, which is outside of time. And inside of this realm, time stands still. It's like I'm imprinted onto the event horizon of a black hole, and I can work countless hours for all of eternity.
How much is this if I break it? Okay. So Nick, I know that you're in Billy Glitter, one of my favorite local bands, but how has been the transition from Billy Glitter, where somebody else is writing the music, to Grandmaster, and what input do you have in that?
Great question. So I think that a beautiful thing about a lot of the bands that I play in, and this is like the similar thing about it, is I'm given these parts, and it's kind of like, this is what we'd like you to play, and that's what I do, and then I tweak it and add my own style to it. And every single person, like band that I've been in where that happens, it's just like, it just feels natural. So it's not even like, you know, none of this is like, here's your sheet music, take this home, study it, and bring it back and have it, you know, learned. It's not like that at all. An ideal, it centers around somebody initially, but it's very expansive with everyone. And I think as we just get to know each other more and like play music together, I kind of do enjoy getting parts, like being like, hey, here's your part, and then kind of like tweaking it and making my own thing out of it, because it's that itself is just collaborating with somebody, in my opinion.
All right, so this is Greer, the videographer for the band. What is your like favorite preferred setting for filmmaking?
I didn't have much experience telling stories with my videograph before joining this crew. I mean, I grew up making skate videos, and that kind of transitioned into music videos. So I had to up my game up real quick when we started doing films with these guys, which I'm very fortunate that they let me on to help them out to do that. And I mean, I also do like the show montage stuff, and I feel like that's kind of my niche. And I really enjoy doing that for Grandmaster, especially since they bring such a high spectacle. So I really enjoy doing that. And I don't know, I love creating a story and giving it, you know, to an audience. It's just a very fun, exciting thing to do.
And do you have like a favorite band that's not Grandmaster that you've recorded?
Let's see. I mean, I've got a lot of favorite local bands. In terms of local music here, what I'm most drawn to is performance, almost more than what I'm hearing.
Okay.
So if I see like a lead singer like really giving emotion or like really moving around the stage, I'm engaged. And Grandmaster does that to a whole nother level because they bring a full story, just like the episodes, to the stage. So it's you're encapsulated by the performance.
Okay.
But like a few favorites, Annabelle Chairlegs is a really good emotional performer. Glass Healer is a favorite band of mine. But yeah, Grandmaster forever.
Could you share your experience with your extended stay in Austin and what brought you to Austin to perform with Grandmaster?
Yeah, so I knew Nick and Blaise from my time in Boston. We were in college together at the Berklee College of Music. I saw one of the original episodes, the first episode that they posted, and I was like, oh, Nick Leon's got a new band. I got to go see what's going on over here. And then he posted something saying that he wanted classical instrumentalists, and I was like, well, you've got a harpist if you ever want one. I think like 2 weeks later, I was out here, planned to be here for 2 weeks, which then turned into 2.5 months of me just hanging out and playing with them as much as possible. I just was...
Just vibing.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. That's it. Just was vibing. Thought it was a cool spot. Didn't want to head back quite yet. And then I had to come here for good. Come join the band.
Hello.
How has it been with the transfer in the Austin music scene, gaining so much traction with Grandmaster, compared with like sex pop and intellectual property, especially coming from the Boston music scene, like your old project, Rivercat?
So Rivercat was a shoegaze project that I was trying to get off the ground in Boston, and when COVID happened, we were going to play South by, and then it got canceled. And then everyone went back to their home states, and it all split up. And I was like, well, I have this album, Sex Pop, that I made in high school. Might as well like make us another one. And so I did that, and then my plan was after Nick had left Boston, he went to Austin, and I was like, I'll just do that. That sounds fun. So I went to Austin and, started teaching out these parts to the second album. That's how I met Kenneth. Nick was like, no, there's a synth player that you got to meet. So I was like, fuck yeah, because this album has too many synthesizers. Off the ground, we spent a bunch of time rehearsing and stuff. And Sex Pop it's all my like musical ideas that I'm giving out to people. And Grandmaster is a lot, it kind of ties in where I'll like think of a bass line and I'll tell John or Nick. But most of the time I'm just playing piano and Grandmaster and singing and playing synth. And it's different. I've never written with another band before. It's pretty fun, Having everyone in Sex Pop be also in Grandmaster makes it so much easier to like get around and stuff.
Since there's 13 people in the band, how do you all find the time to like rehearse with one another? And like, do you rehearse like at your house or like a studio?
That's just all we do is rehearse. Yeah, I mean, I think most of us just like work our day jobs and then come straight to rehearsal afterwards, and it's like Monday through Friday we're working, and I don't know how it happens to work out, but we're shooting for it. I think all of us just take it really seriously, and it's very this like making music is what we love doing, and I think we all recognize how lucky we are to have found each other, that like we kind of have a little bit of a super group going on, and it's easy to make time for that because it's like that's what we absolutely love. And you got to make sacrifices sometimes. Like I definitely don't get as much nap time as I used to, but I'm having fun.
No, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, so Grandmaster is like practically like a part-time job, like just rehearsing and doing everything. Like that's what I'm like getting the gist of. Okay. So obviously you guys are really dedicated to this and putting in a lot of work and a lot of effort. It's not just some garage band where you kind of just make time for it here and there. Do you guys have any advice to any local artists, musicians that are trying to get into a band and how they can take that next step into reaching out to venues and just putting a band together?
Come to the super party, and and just go to shows and like talk to people and like tell people that you liked their set and ask them what their inspirations are, not in a boring way, but just like try to get to know people.
Yeah, being social and involved is a big part of it. But another thing I would say, my biggest piece of advice is go to shows and look for things that could be better. And what can I provide to something like this that will make it better than what I'm at right now? Even though it's a bit egotistical to think that way sometimes, I find myself going to shows and I think, oh, this like isn't working. What isn't working and why isn't it working? And what can I do to provide a new version of that is unlike people have seen before? It's originality is the goal. Kenny?
I just wanted to say, like, you got to think outside of the box. I'm like so stern about this. One of the things that like was sort of the culmination of Grandmaster that really took us to where we are now is we were trying to think outside of the box. We were trying to think about how to become this purple cow of a band where you're separating yourself apart from every other local band in town. We wear costumes. We have a story, a narrative. We have visuals, like all, yeah, you know what I mean? There's like a whole branding aspect to it. And so we were trying to go far beyond what a typical local band is. And so, to survive nowadays in this industry that has evolved and gone in so many different directions and gotten to where it is nowadays, you have to figure out a way to set yourself apart. And that is like one of the biggest things that we're trying to learn and get better at as a band in order to like get to that next level. And so you got to think outside of the box.
Hello. I think a good piece of advice would be to just be very open-minded and try to make genuine connections with other people. It's very easy to like box yourself in, and if you want to do something new and creative and genuine and fun. Like you have to be open-minded to things and not be so tunnel vision. Like Blaise loves Michael Jackson. I love Prince. But we both love Daft Punk, you know. And there's these yeah. I know. Yeah. But what I'm trying to say is that I don't know. Don't ever knock anybody's ideas, or just keep an open mind with stuff, and try to enjoy mixing weird ideas together. And I think everything that they said about kind of trying to stand out and do something different as well with that. But happy accidents can be the best things sometimes.
Do you find that the next album might be more textured than this first record, considering that this album has so much density that's packed so neat and tightly into this package?
We're already pretty deep into the conceptualization of the second album. And so what I will say is that the first record is self-titled Grandmaster, and the reason for that, more than just because we like the name, but it's because every other record will be reading, the titles will read as sequels. So Grandmaster and the blank, or Grandmaster and the journey of the blank, or whatever. And whether it's a nemesis or an antagonist of some kind, or a quest we must go on, there's a narrative, and there will always be a narrative. The next record, this is a working title. We're still bickering about it, but it's going to be called Grandmaster and the Sinister Minister. And I can't tell you much more than that thematically, but musically, we want to bring a bit more funk than this first record. We want to take the funk to the next level, and that's the only real goal. And I feel like if we just do everything else the same that we did on this first record, it'll be an even better album.
Thank you.
I shower first.
Cool.